mundo, o galáxia, constelações, enfim. Vamos aqui. Somos médico. Estamos falando com esses malucos aqui. Esses caba maluco. Que são maluco. Maluco. Muito maluco. Estou aqui aguardando só a entrada do meu retorno. E pronto, retorno confirmado. Tem um ruído aí, vou ver se eu retiro o ruído. Ruído removido. Bom, galera, o chat tá aberto aí. Quem quiser comentar, deixa o seu comentário, deixa o like, compartilha o link, se inscreva no canal. E vamos lá, vamos continuar o jogo aqui que tá interessantíssimo.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's
Assim, o jogo ele não tá dublado, só legendado.
To be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Existe algo que eu possa fazer?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
Você permitiu que ela te mordesse?
Bite you. You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of my blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
Esse cara é meio malucão, hein? Deixa eu tomar uma mordidinha. Sei, hein? Sei não, hein?
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
É.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Ah, beleza então.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft?
To wait for her next nibble is the...
Aren't you afraid?
She's quite harmless, I can assure.
Voltei. Voltei.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't?
Salve, salve, seja bem-vindo ao meu canal aí, galera. Estou jogando Vampyr hoje. É um jogo de vampiro aí, meio começo do século. Infelizmente o jogo não está dublado, está legendado, mas espero que vocês gostem aí. Dê uma comentada no chat aí e dê a sua opinião aí. O que vocês estão achando do jogo aí?
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul searching for light.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero.
I'm just a man trying.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle?
Por enquanto tô nessas conversas aqui.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in the...
Not really.
What is the
situation?
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his...
As the gang?
Ah, no.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox...
Do you know Tom Watts?
Tom?
How did you end up...
I had received a...
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really.
You never came to...
You're preaching to them.
What do you do for...
I manage a night at...
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton?
Not at all, Doctor.
Why didn't you use...
That's a very...
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton?
I feel exhausted.
You're in good...
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
I wonder what your last thoughts would be, sir. So many deaths. And what of my own?
The pain. Here again.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My
Pippa
name is
Hawkins.
Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr.
Hawkins.
Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
You must get a hold of yourself.
Sorry.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you.
É que ninguém viu a Covid ainda.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man...
Why does
Tem que
Milton
ficar pesquisando, estudando.
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned. Milton is not the chatty type.
Why does Milton
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned.
How long have you been?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning.
You'd be surprised what
Sorry, Doctor. I don't...
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning.
You'd be surprised.
Sorry.
Goodbye, nurse. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swans's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Caraca.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reed. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital.
I know we...
Oh.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be...
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer...
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected...
Carelessness? Exactly.
We're here to save lives.
I don't intend to run any
Que
radical...
cara
Modern medical
negativo.
methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Esse microfone fica caindo agora. Ai, mas é uma beleza. Tá. Mas enfim. Salvei muitas vidas, meu filho.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skill.
And what...
I serve...
Be careful.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve...
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion
You
technique...
see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service. We can at least agree on something, Doctor.
Eu vou matar você, cara.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Eu vou matar você.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
If you could point me in the direction of my room. Thank you, Nurse Crane. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleague...
I see. Would you mind telling me?
I'm Harvey Fiddick.
Sua vida de novo, eu sem.
Tell me about yourself.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm.
I was more curious about what you were doing before.
I'm a carpenter. And...
Are you satisfied with your...
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a...
I won't lie to you.
Are you sure you don't want to operate your...
In other circumstances... Tell me
Estou
about the
cortando
doctors.
aqui os áudios porque, meu, vou ficar muitas
What
horas
do you mean?
conversando. Então,
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing.
Strickland and Aykroyd.
What do you mean?
I often...
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
puxa saco.
Please, could you tell me something?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion.
What made you choose?
I'm not ashamed to...
I'll give you some advice.
Of course, sir.
I based my...
I'd rather not talk...
As long as you're cautious and methodical.
You're not the first one to warn me, but...
What can you tell me about the...
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr.
You seem quite...
I'm convinced that this...
Questions remain.
True.
Do you need help with any...
Well, yes, maybe.
Do you want me to play the...
Oh, no, Dr. Reed.
I see. You seem quite optimistic.
I'm convinced.
Questions remain.
True.
What do you think of Dr. Aykroyd's aversion to modern medicine methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about...
With the influenza.
I believe that it's...
So you believe...
Dr. Aykroyd.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from...
What is it, you grip?
Fair question.
Tell me, Mr. Fiddick.
Our first diagnosis...
But why would he...
Because he is a...
Harvey Fiddick.
This personal...
I agree.
Do you think keeping...
All I know is that...
This person...
I agree.
Do you think... Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr.
I'm Beatrice.
What can you...
Not much to say.
Are you really?
Yes.
May I...
I'm a teacher.
What do you think of you?
I have had the...
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially...
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital.
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start.
What do you mean? She charged you for a bed.
Yes, and I paid without question, considering...
I shared...
I don't
Tell me more about... What do you think of your...
I have...
Is there...
some...
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
No,
Reed.
I don't want to talk.
I suppose...
Yes.
Could you at least...
Morton.
Sua vida em Londres.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't...
Pembroke Hospital.
Stop me.
Is your mother Bob?
That's tempting.
How painful.
So painful.
I'm sure you...
Not really.
I see.
Yes, maybe.
Why did your mother have...
My mother just wants to...
Why did your mother...
My mother...
Tell me about you.
I don't want to...
I have to go now, sir.
Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick. Good Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me.
How could your job be responsible?
I was working at the...
You can't hold yourself...
Of course I...
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey. What happened? I'm sorry for your...
I would like to say...
How are your children?
They were smaller.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As always.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
And Mr. Hampton, the patient.
I gave him a...
What kind of...
Well, you accept...
Apologies.
Doctor...
It's right...
You'll get...
Thank you, Nurse Crane. Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news?
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Spare your obedient slave.
It's locked. Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need that, Doctor.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attacked? Do you plan to make him?
Of course not.
Would you say...
No.
Tell me, Thelma. I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities. Good evening, Mr. Elwood. How close are you to Miss Horcroft?
Wait,
Aren't she... Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
It's here again.
I wish I could be sick again.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. I cannot enter. This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin. The flower's dying. It needs water.
Bom, galera, acho que já deu uma salvada aqui. Vou ver se consigo dar uma migrada pro Fortnite.